It almost passed unanimously tonight. Word of new start times for many Columbia students.
Then why a proposed sales tax could mean more jobs in Boone County.
And the saga continues at Aspen Heights. More workers say they haven't been paid.
This is KOMU 8 News at 9.
The Columbia Public School Board is voting on a plan tonight to change school start times to accommodate a new busing system. Good evening, I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Jim Rick. Thanks for joining us. Students on the first tier of the system would get to school between 7:35 and 7:45. They would get out between 2:35 and 2:45. Students on the second tier would get to school between 8:25 and 8:35. They would get out at between 3:25 and 3:35. And the final tier, which would include high schools, those students would get there between 8:50 and 9, and they wouldn't be getting out until about 4:05 in the afternoon. KOMU 8's Danielle Carter is at the meeting with an update. Danielle, any decision yet?
It means that Columbia Public High Schools will be starting their days at 9 and ending at 4:05. Reporting live in Columbia, Danielle Carter, KOMU 8 News.
Boone County citizens will vote on a 911 sales tax in less than a month. Keep Columbia Safe held a public meeting tonight to talk about that tax and what it would mean for emergency operations. KOMU 8's Gina Cook is here to tell us more. Gina?
At tonight's forum, the Columbia Police Officers Association endorsed the tax, saying that cell phones are a big reason why it is needed. The tax is 38 cents for every $100 spent and would also pay for a whole new call facility and equipment within 2 years. It is up for a vote on April 2nd.
It's been a chilly day in mid-Missouri. Plenty of clouds, and our temperature only made it up to 35 degrees. More on the forecast coming up for you on KOMU 8 News at 9.
About 100 people showed up for a public meeting tonight at the Arc to discuss Medicaid expansion and health care reform. The nonpartisan Missouri Foundation for Health hosted the event to clarify facts about the much-discussed topic. Missouri lawmakers must decide whether the state should expand its Medicaid program under the Affordable Care Act. 220,000 adults are currently uninsured in Missouri.
Under the Medicaid expansion, there would be this brand new category for childless adults, low income, working families to have public health insurance coverage.
Just being able to have insurance would change my life drastically. Just being able to be insured and being able, I mean, even if I have a copay or, you know, a premium or whatever, that would be a blessing in my situation.
The federal government has not set a deadline for states to decide whether they will expand, but Governor Jay Nixon has said he supports a Medicaid expansion.
The trial for a Cole County woman accused of shaking a 7-month-old at her daycare began today. Shelley Richter allegedly shook Lane Schaefer back in 2010. Richter says she accidentally dropped Schaefer after tripping over another child. Today, jurors heard from Lane's parents, Jessica and Cole. They talked about how the incident affected Lane's health. Prosecution also showed photos of Lane in the hospital and video of him in physical therapy. Jurors also heard testimony from Lane's doctor, Douglas Bedreau. Richter faces up to 35 years in prison on those charges.
The Aspen Heights controversy is back again. In January, KOMU 8 reporters reported workers from Atlanta were stranded in Columbia after responding to an ad on Craigslist. The ad asked for 50 workers to do general labor and framing work. It stated that laborers would be reimbursed for travel expenses. The ad also said that workers would have paid lodging and food. Aspen Heights did not pay workers for their labor until mid-February. Now we've learned some more new information. It's the same story, but with different names. Douglas Manley and 3 friends started working for Aurora Companies on February 19th, almost a month after we first reported problems at Aspen Heights. After about a week of work, their boss, Tom Roach, told them Aspen Heights was pulling the plug and not paying them. Manley says he has 47 hours of unpaid work.
We were told that there's no more money for us and that we're not getting paid for the work that we did on the house. I took pictures of everything that we did so that I could prove, hey, we were on this job. This is the project we worked on.
Aspen Heights Director of Public Relations Stuart Watkins says he has not received billing from Aurora Companies, which means Aspen Heights cannot pay those workers. Watkins says the latest problems are not related to earlier issues with our energy workers not getting paid. Aspen Heights says as of March 4th, a majority of those workers have received their checks.
Missouri lawmakers approved legislation that grants healthcare providers the right to refuse medical procedures for religious reasons. Supporters say it should eliminate claims of discrimination against doctors. This also allows hospitals and clinics to refuse performing certain procedures. The legislation has to survive a second round of votes from the House before moving on to the Missouri Senate. Missouri officials who oversee state driver's licenses want to assure drivers that personal documents are not shared with private companies. Lawmakers say they ask for birth certificates to be scanned into a computer system to help deter fraud. This all comes after a Southeast Missouri man filed a lawsuit challenging the new procedure. North and South Korea just can't seem to see eye to eye.
Coming up, we'll tell you why tensions are on the rise between the two countries and why the wait may be over sooner than you think at the Vatican City.
And we'll take a look at a forecast that will gradually bring us into warmer temperatures by the end of the week. That's next on KOMU 8 News at 9. Friday, 62. On Saturday, a little cooler for St. Patrick's Day, so it's warming up.
Hopefully. You keep saying that, and then I walk outside.
Well, it's not time yet.
Right. The first day of spring is the 21st?
I believe so, yes.
10 days away?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The vernal equinox.
Can't wait. Dave, thank you very much.
Saved by a last-minute court decision.
As it turns out, New Yorkers might not have to downsize after all. That's coming up. The waiting game for a new leader of the Catholic Church officially begins tomorrow.
And although the war between North and South Korea ended 2 years ago, the two countries are still at odds. KOMU 8's Colin Ruane has these stories and more in your Worldview report.
Jim and Brittany, we begin in North Korea, where talks of a new war are a major concern. Chinese officials have fished out more than 900 dead pigs from a river in Shanghai, but they say they still don't know where the pigs exactly came from. Shanghai's Agriculture Committee's website says there's no evidence that the pigs were dumped into the river or part of an animal disease epidemic. And there's concern tonight because the river is a water source for Shanghai residents. However, local officials say the water is still safe in that area, and that's your look around the world tonight.
2 American soldiers were killed and at least 10 were wounded in Afghanistan today by a man dressed as a security officer. The attack did not last long and the attacker was killed. This all comes one day after Afghanistan's president claimed the U.S. is trying to keep the war going, but the White House says it's planning to pull all U.S. troops out of Afghanistan by 2014. Detroit's former mayor learned his fate today after a federal grand jury found him guilty of corruption. Kwame Kilpatrick faced a laundry list of charges, including extortion, bribery, and fraud. Prosecutors say Kilpatrick ran a criminal operation through the mayor's office to make himself rich. The verdict marks the end of a 10-year corruption investigation. New Yorkers may be able to hold on to their extra-large soft drinks after all, one day before Mayor Bloomberg's ban on oversized sugary drinks passed. The state Supreme Court declared that ban illegal. Bloomberg planned on banning drinks in a container larger than 16 ounces to help New York's health. The New York Supreme Court ruled that the limit was, quote, arbitrary. Bloomberg's office says it will appeal the state Supreme Court's decision. Lawrence Bowers bounced back from an injury during this past basketball season.
Coming up in sports, how a Tiger football player is trying to follow in his footsteps.
Tiger coach Gary Pinkel said he's excited about the start of spring ball. That is sports.
Chris, thank you very much. It is Girl Scout cookie season.
Coming up, you won't believe where one troop set up their shop to sell their sweets. It's Girl Scout cookie time, and they always seem to catch us at our weakest moment. We're used to seeing the girls at Walmart, but one troop in Tennessee decided to think a little outside the box with their location. Every Saturday morning, Girl Scouts sell cookies outside their town's landfill. Scouts say the landfill is the most popular spot in town during the weekend because the city doesn't have garbage collectors. So far, the girls have sold 77 boxes of cookies, and they say their location is the sweetest spot in town. I'm a Samoa's girl. How about you?
I like the Thin Mints, and I thought they were called Savannahs here. I'm checking this thing out. So we'll continue on here, and then we'll get back to these types of cookies here. Okay. After all, this is very important information.
Very important research that we're doing over here. Now here's a look at what we're following for KOMU8 News at 10. A World War II veteran from Missouri shares his story.
And more details on a proposed tax to support Boone County's emergency call center. Dave?
Put me down for a couple more boxes of Thin Mints. Those are the best. Take a look at that overnight low temperature. Kind of chilly tonight with a partly cloudy sky. 26, 27 degrees when you wake up and get out the door. Pardon me. Then tomorrow afternoon, 46 degrees. And again, just a bit warmer with a few less clouds.
All right.
So I think they're now called Savannah Smiles.
Savannah Smiles.
Right.
What type is that?
They're good.
Well, Jim vouches on him.
See, these are called lemon cookies. I think it must have been the Do-si-dos with the peanut butter. Those were really good.
See you at 10.